All right, we're going to get into our next story, and this is really about the Mpumalanga High Court, which today we'll be hearing arguments regarding the late Deputy President David Mabuza's 44 million rand pension fund. Now, his family is said to ultimately argue around who should be getting what exactly, when, and how the situation had transpired. Of course, even the daughter, Tamara's Linda, then is speaking about how the second wife here, her mother is being prejudiced when it comes to this case. How exactly are things set to fare when it comes to this as we head to court a little bit later on today? We decided to bring back Zola Mbatha, fiduciary specialist, who joins us in the studio. Thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it, Siswami. I know you've been here already and you've discussed this a lot, but we headed to court today. Yeah. So it's very, very significant. And we wanted to take this opportunity to also make it educational for other people who are going to need similar advice if needed. Hopefully never do, but nonetheless, it is something that does happen. Can we start this conversation talking just about the difference between a pension fund and a person's estate? Those are two different things, but the same thing at the same time, right?
So look, it's lovely to be here with you today and to start the morning off with this conversation. It definitely will always be a conversation that's needed. You see, because this is an estate planning conversation. And so estate planning is something that you need to do whether you are high net worth in wealth or middle class or even just living in the communities with one asset, the family home.
So basically me, just at the lower end of the spectrum. Fine.
You and me. And everyone, a lot of people are in that space. And so people generally think that estate planning is for when you are wealthy. And I think this case has actually shown us it doesn't matter whether you're wealthy or not. Estate planning is an umbrella that fits all forms of incomes as well as net worth. Now, an estate is your behavior. So actually, let me put it like this. There is a huge difference between an estate and a pension. And by huge, I mean it is the actual acts that are used to regulate them. Now, the one is regulated by an Estate Administration Act. The other is regulated by a Pension Fund Act. The Estate Administration Act aspect can be regulated by a will. In other words, you can say, in this last will and testament, I'm leaving my house to so-and-so, I'm leaving my cars to so-and-so, and I'm leaving my cash to so-and-so. But you cannot in this will say, and I'm leaving my pension to so-and-so. Because you can't regulate your pension with the will. The will is also regulated by a different act called the Wills Act, but it falls under the estate administration. When it comes to pension, which is what this matter, the DD Mabuza matter is about, it is regulated by the Pension Fund Act, and the specific section of this act is Section 37C of the Pension Fund Act, which states there is a board of trustees that decide who this pension goes to. Now, even in the pension space, there's two major types. There is the actual pension, and then there's a retirement fund. So it appears as if in this matter we're dealing with a retirement fund. And the reason I say that is because they're saying it is a surplus. When he took pension, when a person takes pension, they earn from this living or retirement fund. And then when they pass away, whatever the balance that they haven't used for living then goes to their families in terms of the Section 37C.
Don't you elect the person who perhaps gets it? Isn't that also part of some pension funds, some RAs, retirement annuities, etc.? Isn't that part of the process so that if anything was to happen to you, you would then elect who it goes to? Is it possible that means that in this situation there was never an elected person in this pension fund or in this RA?
Well, no. So I like that we just, highlighting it because we don't want to guess the facts of a matter. We want to let them present their facts in court and then we'll analyze it afterwards. 100%. But just from analyzing this temporary outcome, this tentative outcome that's been now taken to court, it looks as if there was a nomination of one person, the lady who was awarded the 44 million. And so now your question is, but isn't there a process where you can choose a beneficiary? There is. It's called a beneficiary nomination form. But the Section 37 discretion that is given to the trustees outrights. It is far above and it replaces what you put in your beneficiary. So basically the trustees of this pension fund can decide that actually the person you've nominated is not the person that the pension fund then goes to. 100%. And the reason for that is that discretion goes along with what is called dependency. So you may
Okay.
elect that I am the beneficiary of your
Yes.
pension based on our relationship at the time you're doing the nomination.
Yes.
Then you subsequently go and have kids after that.
Sure.
Those kids are your dependents.
Yeah.
So what you nominated me, the discretion given by Section 37C allows the trustees to override your nomination.
Who become the trustees?
It depends on your pension fund administrator. In this matter, it is Alexandra Forbes.
Yeah.
Alexandra Forbes has trustees that they nominate for pension fund allocation.
So
and the
they
decisions
would decide
are never, they
who?
have decided.
Yeah.
They have decided.
They have.
They
You're
gave
actually
the
quite
44
correct.
million
Yes.
to the one. That's why it's going to court. This is why I say to you, it looks like there was a nomination form because
Yeah.
they granted 100% of the benefit to one individual. They may have followed a nomination form. But I still reiterate, I do not know why or how Alexandra Forbes reached that decision. But if you just look from practice, it looks like they may have followed a nomination form that nominated the one lady.
You've already said as well that the Selinda family then is ultimately being discriminated against ultimately here because that's the second wife, but that would be, or that's the, should I say, Tamara Selinda's mother, who she believes, of course, should be getting this pension as well. How then does this all come to bear when one considers that it's marriage certificates that are said to determine a key part of this, and we're contesting those marriage certificates as well,
As it is.
Yeah.
Well, firstly, I definitely wouldn't use the word discrimination because it's such a strong word in nature.
Sure.
You have to prove it.
Fair enough.
But I would say there is a consideration of the daughter, Tamara, as a beneficiary. By virtue of the facts she put in the media releasing, she is still studying. She is the daughter of the deceased. We're also still not sure if she's the biological or not, because you see articles and all of that stuff. That's why you want to follow the set of facts as detailed in the court papers, which is why we're going to wait for those documents. But whether it is a biological daughter or not, Section 37C says there is a factual dependent and there's a legal dependent. The legal will be the one that's blood related. The factual will be the one that can show proof that I have been depending on this person. They have been paying for my university fees. They've been paying for my groceries. Therefore, I am a dependent of this person. And so it's looking like that was not taken into consideration by the trustees when they decided to follow only the form. And this is why this matter is now ending up in the court.
Yeah, so it's not always going to be an automatic right because you're the widow, right?
No,
as you said, it's the dependence.
It's dependence.
Right,
it's
which actually changes
legal
everything.
and factual. And the legal will be your blood relation and your marriage.
I think that's so important. And this is why the conversation around estate planning,
Very
around
important.
what we've just had, which is Wills Awareness Week, needing to actually be so important as well, and getting a hold of this. So the significance of having these sort of conversations. And I know it's happening around a horrible time because it is the late former deputy president of the country where we're learning all of this a little bit more from. But how important is this conversation to be had as a country anyway?
Look, estate planning is very important. Estate planning is important, as I said earlier, just as an umbrella for everyone in South Africa. But I want to take this moment, as I've taken the past 2 years of my life running legal clinics in community halls, and focus on estate planning for people who have never done estate planning, because that's where the risk lies. Estate planning is important because you need to plan for the day you pass away. And I always say this too when I talk, at female-only events, usually in August. I hope those become valuable in some point and they not just end up being as events. Where I always say to the woman, you guys spend so much money doing baby showers. Basically, you're planning for a child that's coming. Death requires the same amount of planning, if not more. Because when you pass away, there's a family you're leaving, and you're leaving them with the wealth you built so that when you are not there, it can take care of them. Now, to build wealth, and we'll talk about the term wealth and what it means to everyone. What wealth is to me isn't what wealth is to you. And so wealth is what you have put your heart and soul into. It's what you build from the age of 18. So what I was trying to say earlier, your estate is what are the legal and financial decisions you make from the time you turn 18, because you're now a major. Whatever job you get, whatever financial moves you make, whatever career moves you make, that determines what your estate looks like when you've passed away. Whereas the distribution of your pension is based on your behavior while you are living. If you are person that's built with someone, you married, and you're in a stable relationship, you're building for your children, your estate will be distributed accordingly to your children. But if you are the type of person who builds with the person, has a marriage and children, and then step out and go have more children, and then have more children and more females, your pension distribution will be as chaotic as how you were living.
Wow. Wow, and I think that, man, that tells such a definite and a finite story.
Precisely.
Right, and I think it's really just getting people to get that understanding of the situation, and it happens to so many of us. It's the lack of education that happens with regards to this. How much of a cultural impact is there, though? Because when, and I'm going to say the African culture, but that's too broad as well to say. But whichever culture you're in, there's a big fear about talking about the end of your life.
Yes.
And some people will feel like, and I was talking to a friend of mine actually yesterday who was saying that her friends and her family are looking to put together 10,000 Rand each in order for that funeral to come to bear at some stage. And they don't necessarily have a way to bury that person, but they're putting stuff together. But somebody in the family is just saying, no, you can't do that. You now are asking for this person to die. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're planning for if anything was to happen. Mind you, the person that they're planning for is really, really old at this stage as well.
Look, Buti, that's quite a very important thing that you just shared now, because that emotional, attachment to ourselves, I don't know how to explain it without being too deep, but there is a sense of being attached to humans when you don't have wealth. That almost is borderline unhealthy. Because these people are all I have. So you want to hold on, and in your holding on and your sentimentality, you're losing the opportunity to actually plan for when they're gone. Because you don't even want to think about when they're gone. It's an unhealthy emotional attachment, which is leading to unhealthy estate behavior. Now, that's the first. The second, I spoke to my mentor, who is currently head of master's office in Polokwane, as well as a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine who's a businessman. And we were talking about this will thing. Why do black families do not have wills so much? And from the technical aspect, from the master's office mentee, he then says, I know what you're talking about. Statistically speaking, black estates do not have wills. They are administered interstate, which is what you and I really need to talk about, because it's what's causing the most chaos in the community estates. And then, so that's what's going on. In the predominantly white estates, I myself have administered estates for almost 14 years, and I have never administered a white family's estate without a will. Not once. But I can count the number of times I found a black family with a will. The colored and Indian families, they vary, but more the Indian families will have more wills and the colored less. So there's a change of behavior in relation to estate planning tools that needs to happen predominantly within the black and the colored space.
When it gets done interstate, let's talk about how that happens.
Interstate is when a person has decided they're now not going to have a will because they're scared of doing a will, because doing a will is going to lead to their passing away. Which is a behavior that needs to change. We need to call it out, laugh about it, but call it out, because families are suffering. So I was at a launch of a Davidson legal clinic this past weekend. And I went there as a guest. I was invited as a guest, and then I was asked to just take the questions from the grannies. I love the grannies. That's why I do so much community work around estate planning, because they are suffering the most after their husbands pass away. And so this young lady came to me. Firstly, a gentleman asked from the floor, please, Sis Zola, can you help this lady? She just got summons, eviction summons. This is a RDP house in Davidson. I say, okay, because it's got documents, please let's wait for the clinic to finish and I'll see her. When I see her, I go Putin with the intention of helping. That's what I'm so excited. I'm going to help her get away from these summons, because it's a family home. I then discover that she has the title deed, because that's what they said. Oh, she has the title. Then I'm thinking, okay, this must be a fraudulent sale. I'll tell her she can reverse it and all of those things when it's a fraudulent sale. I get to the documents, and yes, she does have the title deed. 2, she has a letter of authority. Her father has passed away. So here's the set of facts. Her father and her were living in a family home that is owned by her father's father, i.e. her grandfather. Okay? Now, this grandfather had other children, but her father put the family home in his name only. A lot of people
Okay.
do that in
Yes.
the community homes.
Yeah.
Some voluntarily, some consent, and some just
Sure.
without family even
Okay.
knowing. They take the ownership. Now, in this instance, her father took the ownership on his own. That's still okay. He then paid lobola. That's where the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act comes in,
Wow.
into this whole estate planning
Yes.
issue. The father paid lobola, and they celebrated, and they were over the age of 18, so they met the requirements. This customary marriage is recognized, therefore the
it's
father
legal.
is married in community of property.
100%.
This automatically means the house now, the family home, is half
now-
his wife's.
Oh, wow.
Then the wife came in with the daughter into the marriage. The daughter didn't necessarily like the marriage, so she only came in on the wedding day and left. She
Yes,
never returned.
Sure. Okay.
After the father passed away, the whole house went to the mother. And the results, and what made this happen is he married her in community of property. He is the sole owner of this family home, and the home is valued at 200,000 Rand. It's an RDP.
Sure.
Now, when that value, that's where interstate comes in, because remember, we're talking about interstate succession now,
Yep,
where you die without a will. It is calculated based on a value. And without, I don't want to go into the technicalities of
Sure,
that calculation,
sure.
but I want to say as a summary, if a property is valued less than 500,000, it's holistically going to the spouse.
Oh, man.
We won't go into the details as to why. I'll do a video about
Yeah,
it and do
sure.
the calculation. But
Wow.
it goes holistically to the spouse, which then means the spouse's daughter, the stepdaughter,
Yes.
inherits the family home, and she sold it. So she sold
Oh,
it
my goodness.
legally.